For a lot of people in the world, the idea of owning nothing is not only terrifying, but it goes against everything they have spent their life to work for the most part. But for me, owning as little as I have in my entire life now at age 41, I'm actually living my dream life. So I'm gonna unpack that a little bit for you today. And before I get started, I just want to give a quick disclaimer for the trigger happy trolls that saw the title of this video. This is absolutely not a tip of the hat, shall we say, to Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset. I have no intentions of relinquishing my right to private ownership, and I want the government to have as little to do with my personal life as possible. I am a supporter of being able to pick and choose what brings value into your life and to be able to have private ownership of that. But what I am going to challenge you on today, and what I've challenged myself on over the past decade or so, is how much of that do you really need to be happy, to thrive? And for me personally, as I've shared a lot on this channel, the less I own, the more I am thriving. So I'm going to deep dive into that today, and got some leaves in here. I've certainly shared on more than one occasion how minimalism has transformed my life for the better, but now, as I've said, owning so little that it fits in just a suitcase and a backpack, and that is literally everything I have to my name, I feel more in alignment than I ever have. So I'm going to share why with you right now. Let's go. I've got my trusty journal here, which, by the way, for you diehards who have been with me for a while, I only have a couple pages left, so we're getting to the end. It's a new journal, a new era. How exciting. But anyway, let's get to the video here. Number one, I've got 3 points for you, by the way. Number one is freedom. This one's kind of obvious, but I'm going to unpack what that means to me. Freedom is probably important to everyone. We all have our own value scales, but I don't think there's anyone that would say, yeah, I don't care about my freedom. I'm okay to be in a cage, whether it be metaphorical or physical. I'm pretty sure everyone wants and values freedom to some degree in their life, but it can mean different things to different people. Certainly the American dream sells you that freedom is having more cars, more clothes, more stuff, and a bigger house to put all of them in, and then a prolific social media profile to show all of those things that you own. But for me, it's been quite the opposite, and here's why. Number one, portability. This is probably the most obvious point, but when you own very little, it is very easy to go from point A to point B as you please. I just left the country. I'm now an expat living in my neighbor country of Canada. So far, it is glorious. I absolutely love Vancouver. It's amazing here, but the move was incredibly easy. I just hopped on a plane with my backpack, checked a suitcase that wasn't even overly big, and now I'm here. I even sold my car recently. I talked about that before, and that was a big deal for me because I have never lived without a car as an adult. I thought for sure that it was going to be a nuisance or a hassle or create anxiety, but so far it has been even less stress out of my life. Granted, the public transportation here is amazing. Not every city is afforded that luxury, but Vancouver is impeccable with they have a SkyTrain and ferries and a bus, and everything is seamless. It's been so easy for me to get around, but packing up and leaving the country with not a ton of notice can be very stressful for a lot of people, or just moving across town or moving to a new home or apartment. Moving causes a lot of grief for a lot of people. So when you own very little, it is very easy to just seamlessly go from one place to the next. And I get not everyone wants to move all the time, and that's cool. That's your value system. But for me, I'm a gypsy, I'm a nomad. The freedom to just pick up and go wherever I want, when I want, is a very high value to me. And now with so little, I feel like the world is literally my oyster. I could go anywhere I want, anywhere that's safe at least, and it would be no problem at all. The next point of freedom is low maintenance / decision fatigue. Owning less things, less to clean, less to take care of, less to worry about, less to organize, less to store, less to carry around, and less decision fatigue. This is probably the most prominent in my wardrobe. I used to have a giant walk-in closet and take 10, 20, 30, sometimes an hour to get ready in the morning, which was ridiculous, thinking like I had nothing to wear, even though I had thousands of items. Now my wardrobe is about 25-ish items, and it is very easy for me to get dressed. It goes off of, well, number one, what's the temperature? Is it warm? Is it cold? What's the occasion? Am I going out to dinner, or am I going to a coffee shop, or am I going to school, which I will be soon, or am I just going to be lounging around? And what's my mood? There's pretty much the only formula, and based on the combination of those three things, it narrows it down to like one or two choices of what to put on my body. And for some people that may seem very limiting, but for me it is very freeing. I do not want to spend my life worrying about what I'm going to put on my body to live life. I just want to be able to live life. Next is energetic lightness. If anyone has ever watched Samurai Matcha, he's amazing. He's so adorable. He's a minimalist in Japan, and he made a video on this a while back. I can't remember the title, but it's something to the effect of energetic lightness. And I couldn't agree more that the more physical things you have in your life, especially very heavy things like my car that I just let go of, when you release those from your life, it's literally a physical attachment and an energetic connection in your body that you are releasing. Your stuff is a reflection of you. And when you have a lot of stuff, that is a very heavy and sort of, it felt like a straitjacket to me when I used to have a lot of things, but it's a weight in your life, whether you realize it or not. And you'll find as you go through your decluttering journey, the more things you let go of, especially if it's like big volume things, like huge bags of clothes, or for me, the very, very heavy car that I just let go of, or it could be like heavy things like a bed frame you don't really need, or bookcases, etc., fill in the blanks. Having less of that energetic connection, that web of very heavy things outside of me, literally does make me feel lighter. Now, did I actually physically lose weight? I don't know. I don't care. I don't get on a scale. I haven't weighed myself in years. That's a whole other topic, actually, why I don't weigh myself as a woman. Let me know in the comments if you're curious on a whole video on that. I was thinking of diving into that, but that aside, I absolutely feel lighter in my body, in my step, in my aura, to get woo-woo on you. It feels 100% just much more breathe easy to own so little. And when I was leaving the country, it was just so easy. And moving into my new Airbnb, it took me like 20 minutes to unpack, and that was going slow and taking my time. So life is just so much more free for me with less. Point number 2, presence. We're gonna start to filter into more of the woo-woo now. If you know me, you know I like to do that in my videos a bit. But 3 solid points on this one as well. Number 1, less distractions equals more focus. I'm going into graduate school now, and it's a short, intensive program with a very full course load, and I want to do well. And I haven't been in school for 20 years, so hopefully my brain still works. But regardless, this passion and mission I'm going into is very important to me, and it's going to require a lot of brain power and a lot of focus. And I found the more I got rid of visual stimulus on the outside, or just clutter that's sitting around, or that just little accoutrements, you'll find those things are actually catching your attention and distracting you more than you realize. And in my room, although I'll be studying on campus most of the time, I'm for sure going to be doing some paperwork or typing papers or research or reading in my room at some point. And because there's so very little in there, and it is a tiny room, but the fact that there's so little in there, it still makes the tiny room feel breathable. And I'm not going to be distracted like, oh, look at that, or I should touch this, or I should go organize that. I can just sit down and study and be laser focused, which is what I want to do. The second point of that is deep sobriety. I've talked about this before in some other videos. I do have a video called, what is it? Silence, Solitude, and Extreme Minimalism, or Why I Lived Like a Monk. That goes into a much deeper dive on this, but to sum that up, I practice deep sobriety, which means lack of addiction on all fronts. I don't consume substances like alcohol or marijuana. I stay off of social media as much as humanly possible. I do listen to some YouTube videos here and there that I think really will truly add value to my life. But I don't have Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or Reddit or whatever. There's so many other ones that I'm so out of the loop with that exist these days. I don't have any of those, not only not on my phone, but I just don't have the profiles because they are massive webs of distraction. I don't watch TV. I watch movies very rarely, again, only under the scrutiny of, will this add value to my life? And I don't do gaming either. All of these things, I'm not tooting this to like, oh, I'm so high and mighty evangelical. No, I just have an addictive personality. I used to be the worst TV addict back in the day. When I was a little kid, I was a horrible gaming addict. I just don't want to have that level of addiction in my life. And I do have another video that talks about why I quit drinking alcohol if you're more curious on that. But that was an easy one, no brainer, don't miss it at all. I like having a clear head. I don't like feeling like shit when I wake up in the morning, and I like having a fuller bank account because I don't spend a bunch of money on booze. But the biggest part that all of those addictions tie into is presence. When you are stuck, addicted to all of these things on the outside that are consuming your time, consuming your energy, they're very much going to take you out of the present moment. And I don't want to be out of the present moment. I want to live, I want to savor and relish each moment that I have in this precious life. And more importantly, I don't want to rely on something to enjoy life. I don't want to have to watch a show to be able to unwind. I don't want to have a beer to be able to unwind. I don't want to have to be able to game or scroll on Instagram to pass the time or get a dopamine fix or watch a television show about other fictitious people living interesting lives. I want to live an interesting life. I don't want to have to watch something that stimulates me. I want my own life to be stimulating enough, and to be able to relax or unwind or decompress or feel okay. I want to be able to have the capacity to do that on my own as a human being too. So all of those, these are less sort of possession talk and more habitual talk of minimalism. All of those things that I've let go have absolutely led the way for me able to have more time to be able to just be present and enjoy being present with myself without the need for all of those external things or distraction. Which leads me to the third point of presence. When there is all that time suck removed of Instagram addiction, of gaming addiction, of shopping addiction, of drinking, binge drinking addiction, XYZ, fill in the blank, blah, 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 there's much more time for what really matters. And everyone's gonna have a fill in the blank of what matters most to them. It may be raising your kids, it may be being a painter, it may be writing, it may be cooking, it may be physical fitness, it may be any number of things. Whatever's important to you, that's what's important to you. But my point is, when you have your time and your day filled with buying a bunch of stuff, organizing a bunch of stuff, consuming a bunch of stuff, be it physical or digital, there's much less time to put into what really matters to you. And for me now, owning just a suitcase and a backpack, the bare essentials of a few, like a laptop and some toiletries and a wardrobe and 2 stuffed animal cats. I have really just the bare bones I need to survive. And now all of my energy and presence and time is free to focus on what really matters to me, which is right now starting my adventure in graduate school and then embarking on my career as an environmental conservationist. Which brings me to point number 3, the most woo-woo of this video, but hopefully this is practical too and not too out there fairy dust for you all. Deeper spirituality. Now, I'm not going to put a label on what spirituality should be for you. I respect all forms of belief systems and experiences, whether you're Christian or Islam or Judaic or non-denominational, or you call it source or God or the universe or love or connection or great spirit. There are many different ways to quantify it. It is your experience of it, and your experience is your truth. But to put a general term on it, we'll say spirituality and your deeper connection to, let's say, something greater or deeper than just yourself. And for me, I've got 4 points on this one. First is alignment with nature. I've said this before, when I look at animals in nature, I'm so in awe for so many reasons. There's this great book I still need to read called Are We Smart Enough to Know How Smart Animals Are? I mean, if you think about a whale that can migrate from Alaska to Hawaii in the deep waters of the Pacific with no GPS, or a salmon that can find its way back to the spot on the river where it was hatched as a little hatchling like years later. The list is endless for how much wisdom there is within animals and you know, trees and leaves and rocks and all the amazing things of nature that is, again, such a deeper wisdom and beauty that I think we're just learning to comprehend, or perhaps remembering what we used to know back in the day. There's this great phrase of the difference between knowledge and wisdom. We have so much intellect and knowledge with AI or shooting rockets into space or you name it, but the wisdom of connection to nature we have lost. But there are some peoples on this planet that have not lost it, and that's definitely part of my mission, is to keep coming back into attunement with that. And if you look at whether it's a tree or a tiger or a bear or a little ant or an otter, whatever, the way they live is so much more simple than what we have construed as necessary for survival as humans. They just have their little shelter and they take what food they need, and they have, you know, whatever breeding habits they have, but they don't have these giant McMansions filled with thousands of things that they barely use. And now, having so little, the least I've had probably ever in life, except for maybe when I was a little kid, I don't know, it's probably still even less than that, I feel much more in alignment with how the rest of my neighbors on Mother Earth are living, and it feels good to me. It feels right to me. Does it make me a better person than the person who owns a bunch of stuff? No. But it feels more in alignment with my value system, which is coming back into alignment with nature and just taking only what I need and exactly what I need and not more than that. And also, this is kind of circling back to the presence again, when I have less energetic things around me and I'm just in nature, just with myself, I feel so much more connected to the beauty that's around me. Number 2, open to receptivity. Again, this is tailing off of the energetic weight of your possessions that are in your life and weighing on you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. A cluttered room is a cluttered mind, and a cluttered mind is not only blocking you from your heart, it's blocking you from receiving sort of messaging from the divine or connection to the divine, at least in my experience and opinion. And the more that I have let go of, the more that I have felt open to receptivity. My intuition has opened up, my connection to the feminine energy within myself has opened up, and my connection to spirit has opened up. I've talked a lot about how I'll just sit in silence for hours, and this is a newer practice for me that I've come to as I've let go of all of the behavioral clutter, let's say, that I talked about within deep sobriety. And that practice has not only calmed me the hell down a lot, it's also led to a lot of really intuitive sparks in my life, creative sparks in my life. It birthed this channel. It led me to figure out the program I'm about to enter into in school and the path that I want to take for this new chapter in life. And it's also led to a lot of deeper healing that is something we all need throughout life. It's not to say you're never going to be good enough and you always have to heal and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not the point of it. But letting go of energy and processing difficulty in life is something that we always will be doing, or at least always should be doing. And that's a beautiful and healthy thing. Number 3. Inner focus. As again, the more time in silence, the less time attached to all of these external distractions and clutter, the more I can come into alignment with who I am and where I am going. That's a great thing to meditate on for yourself if you feel lost in life, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you're in a dead-end job that you absolutely hate, or your relationships aren't quite in alignment with what you want in life, or you don't feel quite in alignment. The best place to start is not by pointing the finger and say, well, it's my boss's fault, or it's my boyfriend's fault, or it's my friend who, you know, blasted me on social media's fault, or it's social media's fault, blah, 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 blah. Yes, those things can all be aggravating, but they're all a reflection of the state that you're in and what you're attracting into your life. And the more you let go of all those external things and come inward, you can get a clear picture of, okay, yes, my job sucks, but what can I do about it? yes, this relationship is failing, but what can I do about it? What is my part in why the relationship is failing? What can I add to maybe save the relationship, or what can I take responsibility for that and realize it's time to transcend that relationship? Why is my health showing up in a certain way, and what can I do to start to come into better balance with that? The list is endless, but the more you be able to come to the inside, the more you can start cultivating a life that is truly yours. And now, at this stage in my life, with barely anything on the outside of me, I feel far more in alignment, or at the deepest place in alignment I probably ever have in my life. And does that mean I've reached the magical golden pot at the end of the rainbow? No. Life is always going to be shifting, changing, growing, augmenting, rendering, and that's the beauty of it, because it would be pretty damn boring if at 41 I just arrived and had it all figured out. Well, shit, what am I going to do for the rest of my life, however blessed I am to live? But for the authenticity, for who you are in this moment, again, coming back to presence, coming back to that question, or that statement rather, this is who I am and this is where I'm going, doing that inner work will be able to bring a lot more clarity around that statement. And if you don't feel alignment with this is my best self and this is the highest path that I should be on, don't berate yourself for it, but just say, okay, great, so there's some work to do. Let me let go of all this clutter so I can come into a deeper path with that work. Which brings me to my last point, and this is kind of the coolest one, because throughout my years, and I've shared this in other videos, I've had a long journey of a history of anxiety and really poor lack of, self-worth, but really deep lack of trust in myself, and lack of trust in spirit, and lack of trust in life. And there's this really cool thing that's happened as I've progressively through the 10 years went from starting minimalism to being a pretty die-hard minimalist, to then venturing into extreme minimalist, as they call it, though there's nothing extreme about taking only what you need, I think, but that's why I use the word ultra minimalist, because ultra just sounds sexier. But to now this level of, I would say, super ultra, let's call it, I don't know, whatever. I own a backpack and a suitcase, that's it. There has been this incredible correlation of the less I own, the less I fear. The less I own, the more I trust. Now, Western society, especially in America, tells you that the inverse relationship should be true. To feel safe, to feel secure, to feel like you can trust your life and your home and your spouse and the world working out for you, you need a bunch of shit. So go buy this, 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 and this, and you'll feel more beautiful, more safe, more secure, more grounded, more established, more adult, more enviable, blah, whatever. But for me, it's been exactly opposite, because if you think about it, and I love the Hungry Hungry Hippo analogy of, if any 80s kids remember that game, you can Google it up if you're younger than that, but this clamoring for stuff on the outside in desperation to feel whole, to feel okay, to feel safe. We all want to feel safe, especially as women, but everybody wants to feel safe. And for me, I used to think that having all these things would make me feel safe, but they were actually suffocating me. And while of course, throughout my decluttering journey, there have been those bumps of, oh my goodness, if I let go of this thing, am I going to be unsafe? The most recent of which was my car, because I felt like my car was this safe little bubble. But when you get to the other side of that and take that leap of faith to let that thing grow, whatever it is, whether it's a habit or a physical item or a way of being, on the other side of that is a deeper sense of trust in yourself, in life, and in spirit, because you're not reliant on that thing to feel safe. It's not a pacifier anymore. What you are reliant on is faith in yourself, faith in God or spirit, or however you want to call it, and faith in life working out in your favor. And as I've now left the country and I'm starting an entirely new phase of life with basically nothing, I feel a deeper sense of trust in myself and trust in life and trust in spirit, because I know even without all of those things, I'm still here. I'm still strong. I'm still capable. I have myself and I have connection to the energy of love around me, and that is more than enough. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with that for today. Let me know in the comments if this struck a chord with you. Do you need to live exactly how I live? Of course not, but could you live with less and find a deeper sense of freedom, presence, and spirituality in your life? I think you could. Let me know what stage of the journey you're in and if this resonated with you. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, my friends. I'll see you in the next one.